Nvidia partner SK Hynix planning to invest around $4 billion to build a chip packaging facility in West Lafayette, Indiana. This according to a report from the Wall Street Journal. Now, South Korean chipmaker SK Hynix serving as Nvidia's exclusive partner for its most advanced GPUs. This is according to the report. While the investment, it's a boon to President Biden's goal to bring more extensive chip production here to the U.S. So here to talk a little bit more about what this means for the semiconductor landscape, we want to bring in Matthew Ramsey. He's TD Cowen's managing director and senior research analyst. It's great to see you here. So talk to us just more so about, obviously, further investment with making chips stateside here within the U.S. What's the broader impact down the line for the chip industry, for the chip sector?
Good morning. Thank you for having me on. Yeah, it's a major initiative. The U.S. government handing out significant CHIPS Act funding. And you mentioned SK Hynix in your opening comments there, but Intel announced last week $8.5 billion in grants and another $11 billion in potential loans to build factories in the United States. It's no secret that Apple, Qualcomm, Nvidia, AMD, lots of the top chip companies in the world that are driving the PC market, the smartphone market, the data center, and the AI market are all manufacturing most of their products in Taiwan. And there's obvious political tensions around Taiwan with the U.S. and China. So the industry investing over a very long term to diversify geographically to Europe and also to the United States chip production, not just high-end chip production, but as you mentioned, packaging, testing, a whole bunch of layers of the supply chain is super important for the industry, and sort of long-term contingency planning and supply chain management for the whole industry. I think Nvidia is super topical today with investors, but it's anything that you have in your household or in your life that has electronics in it has chips that come from Taiwan. And I think the industry is, and a lot of governments are spending time and money trying to diversify the supply chain. And I think that will continue going forward. It's going to take time. Yeah. We've been to some of the TSMC factories in Taiwan, and every building that you can see in every direction is a supplier into the fabs. So it's not just replicating the fabrication of chips and the manufacture of chips, but that entire supply chain. And it's going to take time, but it's really encouraging to see the investments by the United States government and the European Union and a lot of other political figures that are understanding the importance of this supply chain diversification.
Well, given that you've seen that up close for names that are not Nvidia, the TSMCs of the world that you just mentioned, I'm curious about any of Nvidia's competitors that could stand to benefit from the Biden administration's push to increase domestic chips production. What are the other names that could really get a needed push that could allow them to compete more directly with Nvidia from this chips production push from the Biden administration?
Well, it's a good question. I think there's a couple things to think about there. There's one, everybody's kind of in this boat together in terms of concentration of supply in Taiwan and in Asia. But there's a couple of companies that are really pushing. One is Intel. There's some challenges currently with their product roadmap for AI and for servers relative to their competitors, Nvidia and AMD. But manufacturing stateside is something that Intel's done for decades. They're the largest chip manufacturer in the United States by a wide margin. They have big factories in Ireland and in Israel, in Europe and Asia, respectively. Micron is another company that there's three big memory suppliers. You guys mentioned one of them, Hynix, the other obviously being Samsung. But the third big memory supplier is Micron, and they're a US-based company and could benefit from the CHIPS Act as well. So I think those are the two companies that are probably aligned the best. But Intel is going to get a huge amount of this money because they politicked and pushed to get the CHIPS Act over the line with the US government, and I think it will benefit them. But I've kind of described it as it's certainly a necessary step for them to regain competitiveness with Nvidia and AMD, but I think it's not the only step. There's a lot of things in their product businesses and their software stacks that need to be addressed to really take advantage of AI. But Intel dominated chip manufacturing globally for 3 or 4 decades. They've had some challenging times over the last 5 to 7 years, and they will certainly be a big beneficiary of these dollars that are being handed out when and if they get their product roadmaps back on track to be competitive at the high end.